So welcome to ISCA's Introduction to Infrastructure Sustainability. So by the end of this webinar, you should be able to describe the key concepts of the infrastructure rating tool and also understand how using that tool can drive improved outcomes from a sustainability point of view for projects and assets. The key topics we'll touch on in this webinar are an overview of ISCA, a look at the IS rating scheme, and how the rating scheme promotes the delivery of sustainable outcomes for projects. Under topic 1, we'll cover what is sustainable infrastructure, what is ISCA, and measuring the value of the infrastructure rating tool. Under topic 2, we'll look in detail at the IS rating scheme. What does it cover, how does it work, and what is the process? And then finally, on topic 3, we'll look at the infrastructure planning tool, the design and construction rating tool, and the operations rating tool. Okay, well, let's get started with a look at ISCA, a look at infrastructure sustainability, and a look at what the tool does in terms of adding value to a project or asset. ISCA defines sustainable infrastructure as infrastructure that is planned, designed, built, and operated so as to optimize sustainability in relation to environmental, society, and economic impacts, not just over the short term, but over the long term as well. ISCA's various rating tools can be applied to a variety of infrastructure types. That includes infrastructure associated with transport, such as airports, ports, railways, and roadways. It can also be applied to utilities, energy facilities, water providers. It can be applied to telecommunications facilities, as well as social infrastructure, and even waste facilities. An ISCA rating is increasingly being mandated by various state and other agencies around Australia and in New Zealand. In New South Wales, it includes the Department of Planning, Transport for New South Wales, Sydney Metro, and some regional councils. In Queensland, we have Transport and Main Roads. In Western Australia, Main Roads WA. We have Vic Roads in Victoria, Melbourne Metro, and the Level Crossing Removal Authority. And over in New Zealand, we have the City Rail Link Limited. What we're seeing is an increasing trend towards IS ratings being included in contracts for infrastructure construction and delivery. Being a peak authority for infrastructure sustainability, ISCA also has a range of members that contribute to its work and also benefit from the information and the activities that it undertakes. These members include various government departments and agencies, contractors, a range of industry bodies and infrastructure interest groups, a number of utility organisations, a number of asset operators, manufacturers and a number of suppliers, and various engineering firms and consultancies. ISCA's main mandate is to operate in 3 key areas. They are ratings, knowledge, and community. In terms of ratings, ISCA provides a rating approach that enables assets to benchmark their sustainability performance. The process allows for transparency and accurate assessment of sustainability performance using third-party assurance. The overall ratings approach is designed to demonstrate leadership and capability through the ratings process. ISCA also undertakes a number of activities to improve capability, knowledge, and understanding of infrastructure sustainability, not just in the infrastructure sector, but more broadly. To that end, it looks to build internal capacity in the infrastructure sector through providing a range of training, resources, and professional accreditation services. It enables those working in infrastructure to gain access and guidance to tools to enable them to to achieve an IS rating for their project or asset. And very importantly, ISCA is very active in supporting the professional development of sustainability professionals and to enable those professionals to achieve industry recognition as an IS accredited professional. The third key area that ISCA works in is around building a community of sustainability professionals and practitioners. This is designed to ensure that in Australia and New Zealand, we remain at the forefront of best practice in sustainability in the infrastructure sector. It enables individuals and organisations to be recognised as industry leaders in infrastructure sustainability. And it also helps reduce the learning curve for sustainability professionals and others who work on infrastructure projects in helping them to adopt and utilise the IS ratings framework and to enhance sustainability outcomes for their projects. Many people ask, well, what value does an IS rating add to a project or asset? There are actually 4 ways we can measure the value that's being added. One is through the financial return on investment. Another is short and long-term savings, direct and indirect benefits to the project, and then finally tangible and intangible sustainability outcomes. Let's firstly look at the financial return on investment that the IS rating tool can add. This can often be very important when you're looking to justify the business case for pursuing an IS rating. A good way to understand the financial return on applying the infrastructure rating tool is to look at a particular case study in the Whitsundays in North Queensland. Here we had 2 sewage treatment plants located in Proserpine and Cannonvale that were upgraded to meet growing community demands around their performance and also to benefit the local community in terms of reducing sewage overflows, noise and odour. Both plants together had a capital value of around $45 million. They achieved a design and as-built rating with ISCA, an excellent rating, and overall they were able to demonstrate quite a clear financial return on investment once they had gone through the IS rating process. So let's look at this case study in some detail. At the end of the project, the sustainability team assessed the costs associated with achieving the IS rating. Those costs included the direct ISCA rating fees, the cost of hiring consultants, the cost of doing some local improvement in terms of enhanced vegetation in the area surrounding the plants, and also any internal labour costs associated with supporting or achieving the IS rating. Overall, these costs came to just over $200,000. The team then assessed the benefits both from a financial and also from a qualitative point of view. The financial benefits included a round about $900,000 saved in using fewer construction materials, and that also included a reduction in embodied carbon emissions. They also found that they were likely to save around $120,000 per annum in operational costs associated with reduced electricity use. And finally, an improved approach to dust suppression saved them around $100,000. In addition to those dollar value costs, they were also able to quantify other improvements involving reduced water use, the increased ecological and biodiversity value of the areas that they'd enhanced around the plant, and also the outcomes from an innovation they developed during the rating process for nitrogen effluent removal. When they compared the costs to the benefits, they estimated that the overall financial return on investment was in the vicinity of 400%. They also estimated they had total construction savings of $1.1 million due to the sustainability initiatives they implemented in the construction phase. And then finally, because the plant was able to operate With reduced electricity and other operational savings, they estimated a total annual saving of around about $200,000 from the sustainability aspects that they'd applied to its construction. It's important to understand that sustainability is less about short-term returns. It's actually more about longer-term savings. When you apply sustainability initiatives to a project or asset, you are playing the long game, and it's in the long game that the benefits are fully realized. This case study illustrates some of those longer-term benefits. This was the level crossing removal project in Bayswater in Victoria. And the sustainability team in the project were able to estimate the whole of life savings in energy, water and materials that resulted from the sustainability initiatives they'd applied. These savings included a 43% reduction in energy over the project's whole of life. Similarly, they were able to estimate there would be a 70% reduction in whole of life water consumption. And finally, they were able to demonstrate a significant reduction in material impacts for the projects of around 31%. Another way to measure the value of the IS rating tool is to look at the direct and indirect benefits of using the rating tool. This project in Western Australia was the Rousehead Industrial Park. It's a port facility with a capital value of around $7 million, and it achieved an excellent IS rating. The direct and indirect benefits they were able to determine at the end of this project included some direct benefits in terms of waste reduction and also in terms of the improvements to ecology from the establishment of a new eco-sanctuary around the park. In addition, they were able to identify some indirect benefits, particularly in the areas of health and well-being, but also an indirect benefit from an innovation that they developed during the rating process that improved truck marshalling around the industrial park. And finally, let's look at the aspect of measuring the value of the tool in terms of tangible and intangible outcomes. This main roads project in Western Australia was able to classify their benefits from applying the infrastructure rating tool in terms of tangible and intangible outcomes. The tangible outcomes included significant cost savings during the construction of the project and also a range of innovations that they were able to develop and deliver during the course of the construction. The intangible benefits included a large number of environmental and social outcomes, as well as a positive result in terms of their reputation. Let's now have a look at the IS rating scheme itself. The key aspects of the IS rating scheme, firstly, is it uses third-party verification. This provides both credibility and transparency for the rating scheme. Secondly, the rating scheme itself was developed by industry for industry. The scheme has been operating since 2012. It's able to be applied to all infrastructure types. It is able to be applied across the life cycle of an asset, right from planning through to operation. And it consists of a 4-step rating process. The value of a sustainability rating scheme for infrastructure is fairly evident in these next few slides. When industry was surveyed, over 90% of those surveyed believed there was a need for an infrastructure sustainability rating scheme to be set up. There is also a strong view that the IS rating scheme does encourage better sustainability outcomes for infrastructure projects and assets over and above business as usual outcomes. When asked about the value of the IS rating scheme in the survey, the main reasons people thought it added value was around the benchmarking of sustainability performance. It was a way to get better sustainability outcomes. It was part of the contract that they were involved with. Some of them also noted that they could use the IS rating tool as a reporting framework for their sustainability performance, and some also noted it would be valuable as part of their decision-making processes. ISCA provides a range of rating tools to cover the whole project lifecycle. They include the planning rating tool, which covers the key planning processes associated with project initiation, development, and procurement. The design rating, which is obviously involved in the design stages of the asset. This is then taken further in terms of an as-built rating, which is applied at the completion of the construction phase of the project. And finally, once the asset is up and operating, they can apply to ISCA to achieve an operational rating. The latest version of the infrastructure rating tool is called version 2. Version 2 covers a range of aspects related to the sustainability performance of an infrastructure asset. Another feature of the version 2 tool is that it is aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The IS rating scheme works by awarding points for particular credits, with each credit relating to a particular sustainability outcome that the project or the asset achieves. Each credit has different levels, and as you move up the levels, you are awarded more points for the sustainability initiative that you have applied. For example, level 2 provides more points than level 1. Level 3 provides the most points you can achieve for that credit. Another way to look at this is to relate these levels to different levels of sustainability performance or outcomes. So if your project for a particular credit is doing no more than business as usual, you will not be awarded any points for that credit. If you are measuring and monitoring your performance for that particular sustainability aspect, then you'll be able to be awarded some points under level 1. To be awarded points under level 2, you must be able to show that your project or asset is having no net negative impact on a particular sustainability area. At the top level, you're looking to be able to demonstrate that your project or asset is not only having no net negative impact, but is also having some positive impacts in relation to sustainability. This is actually quite hard to achieve for many projects, and level 3s are not commonly awarded. However, when they are awarded, it really does demonstrate that for that particular sustainability area, you really are achieving a positive outcome. Because the IS rating tool can be applied to pretty well any infrastructure project, the tool needs to be able to account for the fact that not all infrastructure projects or assets are the same. The way it addresses this is by applying what's called a weightings assessment. And this weightings assessment takes account of the fact that different infrastructure projects will have different social, economic, and environmental impacts, and therefore that the credits associated with those impacts will have different levels of importance in relation to the final rating score. Once a project has submitted its IS rating submission to ISCA for verification, it will be awarded a particular rating that relates to the final score it achieves. The highest score will be awarded a diamond rating. Scores in the range of 80 to 95 receive a platinum rating. A gold rating is awarded for scores in the middle range of around 60 to 79 points. A silver rating is awarded to projects or assets that achieve a score of 40 to 59 points. And then finally, a bronze rating is awarded for projects scoring in the range of 20 to 39 points. It's important to note that below a final score of 20, no rating is awarded. If you need further information on any of the aspects we've covered so far in this webinar, you can visit the ISCA website and download a range of documents that will assist you to understand this information in more depth. As mentioned earlier, the rating process involves 4 key steps. The first of these is to register the project or asset with ISCA, execute a ratings agreement, and pay the ISCA fees. The second step, called the assessment stage, involves a kick-off workshop, the development of a rating management plan by the asset or project, and then moving forward with the rating process through to the verification stage. Once the project has collated all the evidence and finalized its submission, that submission can be forwarded to ISCA, where it is reviewed by our verifiers. The verifiers will provide feedback to the project or asset about how that submission could be improved or amended, or what clarifications are needed. Based on that feedback, the project or asset is then able to resubmit the evidence to ISCA for a final verification. Finally, once the verification process has been completed, the project is awarded certification by the ISCA board. Before we finish this webinar, let's just have a look at the different types of rating schemes available from ISCA, starting with the planning rating tool. The importance of planning in relation to sustainability is evident in this graph. Your biggest opportunities to influence sustainability outcomes are at the start of the planning process, and the earlier this planning commences and the earlier that sustainability is embedded into the planning process, then you have the greatest opportunity to maximize sustainability outcomes. The IS planning rating addresses the key components in the project planning process. These include the setting of targets and the alignment of those targets with sustainability objectives and goals, sustainability considerations and how they are embedded in the planning process, as well as identifying those key points during the project planning where sustainability considerations need to be taken into account, the development of a sustainability strategy that includes clear targets and objectives, and also ensures that sustainability is embedded in the procurement approach. And finally, how that strategy is going to be implemented and managed as the project moves forward. The next rating we'll look at is that for the design and construction of an infrastructure asset. Before we look in detail at this rating, it's worth remembering that the management of sustainability risk is no different to managing other types of risks during design and construction. If sustainability risk is not being properly managed, there can be a number of consequences, including the non-delivery of key sustainability targets for the project, that the sustainability budget runs out before the project is completed, that there could be significant reputational damage for the project suppliers or contractors, there could be a loss of social license amongst the community in which the piece of infrastructure is being constructed, there could be key sustainability risks left unaddressed by the end of the project, there could be an impact for those contractors who are constructing the asset to miss out on future tenders, and then finally that the project itself does not realise its full potential from a sustainability perspective. One learning for ISCA from the ratings that have been delivered so far is that there are 3 key ingredients for success in realising sustainability outcomes on projects. The first of those ingredients is leadership, and to ensure that the leadership is fully committed and visibly supporting not just the IS rating process, but the delivery of sustainability as a core outcome for the project. The second ingredient is to ensure that there are robust systems and processes for managing the delivery of sustainability initiatives and the overall IS rating. And thirdly, that there are sufficient resources on the project to manage and coordinate the delivery of sustainability outcomes and of the rating process itself. The three key steps in the rating process are shown here. The first is setting up the rating, the second is engaging the broader project team, and the third is ensuring that there is ongoing implementation and reporting of sustainability initiatives on the project. In terms of the rating setup, the most important thing to note here is the importance of getting management on board right from the start of the rating process. This graph shows how important it is to have management involved in the sustainability initiatives and decision-making associated with the project. In fact, the management scores on IS ratings directly correlate with the overall final score that a project will receive, and this again emphasizes the importance of making sure that management are a key part, not just the rating process, but of in delivering sustainability initiatives on the project. The second step is engaging the broader project team. The most important aspects of this is to make sure that the broader team is clear on what aspects of the rating are owned by which project members. This is done by ensuring that there are clear an assignment of tasks and responsibilities to deliver different parts of the rating. And then this is followed up by ensuring that the sustainability team is working with the broader project team to track and manage the progression of those credits to achieve the final rating. This slide shows the key steps once the IS rating process has been initiated. So at the planning phase, the key aspects there are the conducting of baseline studies, environmental approvals, the engagement of stakeholders, and the engagement of the procurement team. From there, a kick-off workshop is held with ISCA, which basically helps lay out the game plan for delivering the IS rating. That game plan is then formally captured in an implementation plan. The base case is developed and the weightings assessment is undertaken. There may be various types of reporting undertaken during the rating process, both internally and externally. The wider project team is continued to be engaged and evidence for the final submission is collected. And then finally, once the evidence is collected and the submission completed, that information is forwarded to ISCA for verification. To finish up, let's just have a very brief look at the IS operational rating. Once an asset has been constructed and commenced operations, it can apply to ISCA for an operational rating. It's important to note that an asset does not need to have a planning or a design and as-built rating to be eligible for an operational rating from ISCA. The operational rating model can be applied to a number of different operating models. The infrastructure itself could be owner-operated. It could be leased to a third party. It could have parts of its management or maintenance outsourced. It could be a single asset, or it could be a network of assets. It could be a portfolio of assets, or it could be a program of works. Some assets are able to achieve an operational rating within the space of 12 months. However, for larger assets or more complex assets, or assets that are less mature, they may require a longer period of time to achieve an operational rating. So ISCA can allow in those cases up to 3 years for an asset to go through the rating process before it becomes certified. And just some final thoughts as we conclude this webinar. We've talked a lot in this webinar about getting an IS rating, but the IS rating is not the end goal. For ISCA and the infrastructure sector, the true end goal is to more sustainably construct and operate infrastructure into the future. When we look back at the projects we've rated over the last 6 years, some of the sustainability outcomes are quite interesting. So collectively, IS-rated projects have avoided the use of around 67,000 Olympic swimming pools worth of potable water. They've collectively managed to avoid putting almost 19 million tonnes of CO2 into the atmosphere. And they've achieved a significant reduction in the use of materials on the construction of infrastructure projects. I hope this webinar has been a useful introduction to infrastructure sustainability and ISCA, and if you need more information, do visit the ISCA website. Thank you.